Baseball and gambling have been intertwined from the earliest of days. Wagers were made for a meal or a small sum of money. It was an accepted practice among fans. Everyone was doing it, and often players. But as the sport became dominated by elite professionals instead of amateurs following the Civil War, it did not take long for gamblers to take a more serious interest in the outcome of these games. In this episode, we'll dive into two of the most notorious gambling events in baseball history. The Louisville Grays, 1877, we all were there, and the gambling riot of 1917. I'm Jake Storielli. This is Laughs from the Past.
Gambling. Got your gambling shoes on?
Gambling. Danny DeVito.
Dancing and gambling. Jake's a gambler.
Gambling.
Every day
Lord,
you wake
I was
up.
born.
I was going to say every day you wake up's a gamble.
I said, Lord, I was born a gambling man. That's a play on words. Baseball and gambling, those two things I enjoy to do. I think one's good for me, one's bad for me. To the fact that I've devoted my life to one and I try to dodge the other for 364 days a year or so.
Yeah. I don't have the gambling itch, but I can't even imagine how wild it must have been back in these times when we're talking about like how easy it was to fix games, get players in. And I think we'll get into it, but I know a little, I think it was pretty much accepted. Like, hey, this happens and so be it.
It's tough. I mean, you'd think we'd have more scandals otherwise. I don't know. I get it. Any way to get money back then, I think is kind of what you're saying. That was encouraged. Hey, if you were on a baseball team, some weirdo bookie comes up to you and says, I could double your salary today if you lose this game. Yeah, there's some interest there. But I don't know. At the same time, I feel like back in the day, you hear about people being more noble and I don't know.
Oh, that's just people talking about. Back in my day, there was never a noble day.
Early competitors. I don't know.
Yeah, I think with the times we're talking about, early 1900s and stuff, I think the gamblers could pay you much more than you could get paid.
Oh, easily.
So it was almost a no-brainer. Okay, I'll throw this random game in August, and I'll double my salary.
I mean, think you could still say that about athletes today.
You think the gamblers could outpay them?
Yeah, you know how much money goes into a game like the Super Bowl or something like that?
Yeah, but that's a Super Bowl. I'm talking about just a random game.
Right, but I think isn't that kind of what we're talking about too? I mean, we'll get into the stories, but yeah, I mean, on a game-to-game basis, probably not. Not a weekday Kansas City Royals, Cincinnati Reds interleague play game, but I don't know, a big playoff game? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. Some of these players make millions of dollars.
I mean, the top tier ones, the other 80% of the team doesn't.
Yeah, but how much effect can they have? That's why baseball's an interesting one. So what I know is they would need a lot of the team to do it, and then they would divvy up. They would give them $100,000 and they would divvy it up amongst 8 guys, but that was basically their yearly salary. So it was much easier to get a lot of guys in that were all still going to make enough money for it to be worthwhile back then. It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, we have 2 stories here. Welcome to Laughs from the Past. This one is Season 6, Episode 3, Gambling in Baseball, Liars, Riots, and Scandals. Article by Bob Bailey. We have a great production crew on this show. Jared Gott, Joe Webster, Sam Deutsch, and Lucas O'Brien. Let's get right into this. I actually Everyone knows the Chicago Black Sox scandal. I don't know much about. I know a little about the gambling riot, and it's a riot of a story. I never heard of the Louisville Grays scandal, so I'm excited to learn about that one.
Not familiar.
Here we go. Baseball's difficulties with gambling have a long, if not distinguished, history. From the early days of professional teams, the presence of gamblers at the various baseball grounds, selling pools and taking bets, caused second thought among fans and owners about the honesty of the play on the field. The pronouncements of the founders of the National League in 1876 included platitudes about protecting the game and the fans from the evils of gambling. In 1877, the year-old league was faced with a major test of its willingness to back up those platitudes, a pennant-throwing scandal. Through early August, the Louisville Grays had built a 4-game lead over St. Louis with a 27-13 record. On August 17th, with about 20 games to go, Louisville started an East Coast trip. The first 8 games were against Hartford, playing home games in the more lucrative location of Brooklyn, New York. Hartford played games in Brooklyn?
That's where the money was, maybe.
That didn't add up. And they also played Boston. Louisville 9 went 0-7-1 before losing 2 of 3 in Cincinnati on its way home. The Grays returned home in second place, 7 games behind Boston. John A. Haldeman, a baseball writer for the Louisville Courier-Journal, saw something suspicious in the team's play. Haldeman had a very good access to team officials because his father, Walter Haldeman, was the majority owner and president of the Grays. Not a guy you want to piss off, then.
How about that?
Owner's son.
Keeping it in the family, paying off, maybe.
Yeah. Through the younger Haldeman's efforts, it came out that 3 Louisville players, pitcher Jim Devlin, outfielder George Hall, and substitute Al Nichols, were in league with gamblers to throw games. Also drawn into the scandal due to his earlier gambling run-ins with baseball officials was shortstop Bill Craver. All 4 were ultimately banned from organized baseball for life.
You think Bill Craver's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, kind of?
Because he craves bills?
Just craving the action?
Craving those bills.
I mean, that's heavy, but
wow.
Yeah.
That is, we need to look into that. I mean, Al Nichols kind of give me all the nickels.
Yeah, kind of, for sure.
Yeah, damn. Jim Devlin, he's
got the
pretty
devil
close
in
to
him.
the devil right there. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. All these guys.
Well, we uncorked this scandal. Done.
They were born into it. Can't even fault
Everyone
them.
Everyone else on the team last name was Angel.
Yeah. It was like Johnny Good Guy.
Wow, doesn't it feel like 3 guys on this team just have really bad names? Imagine if that part of the story got changed over time.
Yeah. Gambling Al Nichols.
Yeah, we used to always call him the Crook. It's like, no, you guys used to just call me Jerry.
We knew he was up to something. He was shady. Like, no. Popular history holds that the 4 players arranged for the Louisville to tank the season during the Eastern trip, giving the pennant to Boston. But evidence of this is hard to come by. The Louisville-Hartford game of August 20th at the Union Grounds in Brooklyn illustrates the difficulty. Devlin was in the box for Louisville as he was for every inning during the 1877 season. With 1 out and 1 man on first in the top of the first inning, Craver muffed a soft toss from second baseman Joe Gerhardt. Instead of hitting into an inning-ending double play, Hartford scored on an unearned run. Errors of all kinds were not uncommon, so pointing to Craver's muff as evidence of a fix is problematic. With the score unchanged in the top of the 4th, Hartford's Joe Start singled to right and took second on a passed ball. Bob Ferguson then sent a slow grounder to Craver, who tried to catch Start going to third, but his low throw was muffed by Bill Haig, who was charged with the error. Start scored Hartford's second unearned run on a grounder to second. With 2 outs in the 5th, Hartford reached Devlin for a double and a run-scoring single to make the score 3-0. Maybe they were just really hungover and playing bad baseball.
I mean, this is West Coast teams coming east. This still happens today in football.
Yeah, maybe it's gambling all the time, though.
And I think a funny thing that I think I walked over there pretty quickly was one of the guys that thought was in on it, or we're going to find out was in on it, but the throw to first base was just low, and I think they said the error was charged to the first baseman, who reportedly so far was not in on it. But you wonder if it's one of those things like, oh, that guy sucks at picking it out of the dirt. If I throw one down there, they're going to blame him. Perfect plan.
Yeah. With one out man on first, Craver muffed a soft toss. No, Craver, the first baseman, was the guy in on it.
Haig? Which one's Haig?
Craver muffed a soft toss from second baseman Joe Gerhardt. So instead of
the next line, Haig,
who tried to start going to third, but his throw was muffed by Bill Haig. So Craver is involved in both. One, he didn't catch it. The other, he had an errant throw.
Right, he threw it to Haig, but Haig muffed it and got the error, right?
Yeah.
See? Throwing Hagee under the bus.
But it's also a dumb play because he's the first baseman, and instead of getting the force out, he tried to get the tag out on the runner who was in the middle. So it just seems like bad baseball by Craver all around.
Got to make that play, Haig.
I'm on this guy Craver. He's a dick.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's been announced.
I'm on to him, Jake. When Louisville came to bat in the sixth inning, the Grays had collected just one hit off Hartford pitcher Terry Larkin. Outfielder Bill Crowley singled with one out, went to second on a pass ball, and moved to third on Juice Latham's single. On the play, Jim Holdsworth overthrew third, and Crowley came home to make the score 3-1. Latham was advanced to third with 2 outs, but Hall sent a routine grounder to the first to end the inning. Hartford bunched 3 hits each in the 7th to score 2 more runs. Louisville finished with a total of 4 singles and a 5-1 loss. So sloppy play. I think you need a pitcher if you're going to be in on the fix. Well, you just have to get the pitcher, right? Like if you're going, why would you get 3 defensive players? There's no guarantee there.
Yeah. The pitcher's in on it. I mean, a pitcher, you could get your stats messed up super easily. Like if you're just giving up meatballs, that can end it where one or 2 errors for other guys won't kill you. I don't know. Yeah, and that's the other thing. The ball was put in play so much these days that maybe if you just got a couple of the right infielders and there was no, like, home runs still weren't a thing, that I think a lot of these games were lower scoring, that if you could, instead of a double play, if you throw one away, that could be the difference.
Yeah. This next paragraph says that Devlin was a pitcher, and his they're like, unearned runs are pretty hard to figure out back then through box scores and earned runs, but he averaged 5 runs. The other teams averaged 5 runs per game of Devlin, and during this road trip, he was actually better. He averaged 4.7 runs, and then at the end, he averaged 3.7. So if he's in on the fix, the stats don't back it up.
Yes, FIP was lower. The defensive run saved was lower. It's just tough.
Yep. Well, throughout the investigation of the pennant race, Devlin and Hall maintained that they never threw a league game. I mean, throw a league game?
None of the league games. Other games. Oh, yeah.
Of course, we're going to throw the non-league games. That's a given. But Hall's confession makes it appear that they did contribute to a 1-0 loss to Cincinnati on September 6th. Otherwise, both players maintain that they only took money to lose exhibition games. I mean, if you're not, throwing exhibition games, wake up.
That's just bad business, yeah.
I mean, I'll throw a spring training game right now.
That's where you get your salary.
Yeah, you get paid before the year even starts. So the gamblers can bet on exhibition games. That's the fucked up part. How stupid gamblers are. How sick in the head they are. Betting on exhibition games.
It's addicting.
Yeah, it's a drug. And there's drug users. And if you need help, call 1-800-I-GAMBLE.
Hot summer fun at Mohegan Sun.
Hot summer fun at Mohegan Sun. Okay, so otherwise both players maintain they only took money to lose exhibition games. Al Nichols, hashtag give me all the Nichols, didn't say anything. He took his release and faded out of Major League picture. Craver loudly insisted on his innocence. I am innocent, he said. I am innocent. But having been involved in earlier game throwing behavior, he was pretty much ignored by the National League leadership. They're like, well, your name's Bill Craver. We know you crave the Bills, and you gamble a lot, so you probably gambled this time too.
Bill, this is your 6th time. It's not really a discussion. We know you're in on it.
Yeah. You're so guilty that others are guilty for talking to you. So, you're fucked. There was another problem for a team trying to win or lose a pennant in 1877. Nobody knew where they stood in the standings. What?
Love that.
So 1877, we can organize a civil war. We can send like battlegrounds here, and we can flank them here, and we can make all these plans with carrier pigeons and secret notes on cigars, but we can't figure out what the standings are. That's pure laziness.
That'd be so cool. If the teams just played the games to the best of their ability, and then at the end of the year, it's like, oh, here you go.
I mean, you had teams trying harder. Dude, it'd be such a fuck. It'd be such a mind fuck because you'd think you were good, you know? And then you get the standings and you're like, oh, you're 10 games out.
Hey, guys, according to last year, we'd be the number 1 team, and then you find out there's 2 teams that did better than you.
Some nerd had to be doing it. Like just like a general, maybe he was off one.
There
one
was
or two.
rumors. There's rumors. There was online blogs. I'll say this, and I think it's the feeling I'm talking about. We do a best man golf tournament or best ball golf tournament every year. And our team is pretty hated, and we were the last team to go this year. And so we come up to the 18th green, and there's one team peacocking up there. They had a hell of a round. We pulled up to the green, and we were having a good day. We pulled up. We thought we had them, and we did, and they were just so deflated. And that's the feeling that this baseball league could have had.
Don't know the standings, yeah.
Yeah,
Bummer. There was another problem. The Cincinnati club had started the season, disbanded, and reappeared later with new owners. The status of games played against Cincinnati was open to question. So newspapers ran several sets of standings. Oh, that's fucking interesting. The Courier Journal had a table in many editions, including games against the original Cincinnati club, a table including Cincinnati games regardless of ownership, and a table ignoring all Cincinnati games. In early September, Louisville was either tied with Boston, half a game behind, or half a game ahead. So that's super interesting. So the fucking Cincinnati club just like quit halfway through the year and forfeited. And then they're like, no, just joking. We're back. And they're like, well, I think you just could count all the games.
Let's see. We're forfeiting. We're back. That's tough.
But like they're saying like games against Cincinnati. What do those count as? Like Cincinnati, you don't
lose. You didn't play.
You think they should all not count?
The games they didn't play.
Okay. So Boston and St. Louis, what should their games against Cincinnati count as?
They should get wins. Cincinnati didn't play the game.
Well, they did play.
What?
So
say
Cincinnati,
it again, then you lost me.
Cincinnati played the first third of the season.
Right.
Then they forfeited the middle third.
Right.
Then they played the last third.
Yeah, the middle third is wins for the other team. It sucks, but
that's not an argument. Everyone agrees with that part.
Right.
They don't know if they should count the games and the losses and the wins against Cincinnati in the first third or the third third. So one scorebook says no games against Cincinnati this season are counting towards the standing at all. One was saying only the last third when they got the new ownerships count towards the standings. And one was saying,
why are we even playing the games?
And one was saying all of them count. So I think all of them should count towards the standings.
Yeah. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I agree with you, but they're confused on it.
Yeah, there was one newspaper that was confused that was trying to be cheeky because their team lost to Cincinnati. That's it. That was the confusion in 1877.
So let's see. Devlin joined Philadelphia. Oh, no. Where's that stupid fucking paragraph? So in early September, Louisville was either tied with Boston, half a game behind, or half a game ahead. So that's what we have here. Louisville was saying, well, those games shouldn't count in early May because that team disbanded. Because they had a lot of losses versus that team. And then Boston, they were like the opposite. Like, no, they all count or something like that. And that was the difference, who was ahead or who was behind. So, yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, I'm guessing at that part because you led me there, which I like. In December, the National League decided to toss out all Cincinnati games. So they're not doing what you and I thought. They're just saying any game against Cincinnati was an exhibition game. Modern references include all the Cincinnati games, thus giving Boston a 7-game lead over second place Louisville. But the lead shrinks to 3 games when following the decision to not count any Cincinnati games. Cincinnati really fucked everyone. So that Devlin, Hall, and Nichols threw games in 1877 seems unquestioned. Craver's role is more difficult to determine. But Boston's 20-1 record from August 17 to the end of the season may have swayed the standings beyond what the Louisville Four did. So they're saying like it was kind of out of their hands. The Grays franchise folded in the 1877 season. Over the next few decades, there were fewer suspicions of game fixing in professional baseball. The 4 banned players were never reinstated. All the Nichols played semi-professional baseball. Craver of the Bills became a police officer. Wow, cheater. Probably was really, really big into extortion.
Yeah, he was the dirtiest cop there was.
Give me all your fucking bills. Otherwise, we won't protect you from the thieves. And we are the thieves. That's a good extortion speech for me. I could extort. And Hall worked as an engraver and clerk. Cool, Hall. Devlin tried to be reinstated many times but was unsuccessful. It's like, look at the stats, guys. I pitched better. I'm on Devlin's side. In one instance, he got on his knees and begged Hulbert for another chance. Fuck, I was just on his side. Now he's down on his knees begging. Damn. Hulbert responded by handing him $50, roughly the equivalent of $1,200, and saying, Devlin, that's what I think of you personally. But damn you. You have sold a game. You are dishonest, and this National League will not stand for it. Devlin,
who wrote that? Whose voice are you doing there? Whose voice are you doing there?
That was the owner of the St. Louis Grays.
Okay.
Devlin, that's what I think of you personally. But damn you, you sold a game. You are dishonest, and this National League will not stand for it. How do they know that quote? History cracks me up. Who fucking wrote that down? Devlin joined the Philadelphia Police Department and died of tuberculosis in 1883. Okay, everyone dies. Just sucks when they just throw you in and died. Like, we know he's going to die eventually.
And then there's a little bit of a twist. Everyone got tuberculosis and died. Oh.
His 1.90 career ERA is third lowest of all time among pitchers with at least 1,000 innings pitched. Get out my face. Stupid record.
Stud.
Stupid. All right. Are you the St. Louis Grays 4? You hate him? We know that Bill Craver sucks.
Craver's bad. I mean, Devlin's involved.
I was on Devlin's side until he was on his hands and knees like a little bitch.
Devlin's involved. Best pitcher ever, though, so I'll give him credit for that. Yeah, I don't know. I like the guys getting kicked out and playing semi-pro and everyone around them being like, that's the gambling guy. And then
Shoeless Joe Jackson, that was his whole life.
And then half the team either going, oh, he's not that good, or the other half the team going, wow, he's really good. Yeah, I don't know. That wretched East Coast trip, man.
It'll get you. St. Louis trip, a lot of trains in that day.
Did we get any background on like the bookies or the gambling or anything?
No, not on that one.
Yeah, that's tough.
Because that's the fun part.
That's kind of a giant piece of the story. Yeah, and that brings it all together. Because you're like, oh, yeah, Sly Joey 2 bets. He could convince anyone under the sun to place a bet.
And how much money? How much money did they make?
Right. We're missing some key figures.
All right. Well, this next section should be good. It's the Riot. I've heard about this, and I'm intrigued by it. The first place Chicago White Sox were in Boston for a pivotal series with second place Red Sox, the defending World Series champions. Despite a rain-soaked field, Lefty Williams pitching paced Chicago to an 8-0 shutout in the series opener on Friday, June 15th, to put the White Sox ahead in the standings by 2.5 games. Both teams' aces, Eddie, how would you say that? Cicotte? Cicotte. It's Eddie Cicotte. I didn't know that's how that's spelled, but I know that name, obviously. He was part of the 1918. Eddie Cicotte for the White Sox and Babe Ruth for the Red Sox were set to take the mound the following afternoon. A violent thunderstorm continued to pound the Atlantic coast on Saturday, June 16th, but there were no metaphorical dark clouds hovering over Fenway Park that could have forecasted what was about to unfold. The Red Sox had been riding a wave of success for 2 months and ended the month of May on a 10-game winning streak. But recently, their fortunes had turned. Entering June's 16th game against Chicago, Boston had lost 8 of its last 11, including a season-high 3 games in a row. Hometown bettors were confident that the Babe, the 22-year-old star from Baltimore, could end their skid. Okay, so winning streak, the fortunes changed, they lose a lot. Now they got Babe Ruth coming, and he's gonna really win them some games, Jake. Dark clouds. Yeah. A crowd of 9,405 filed into Fenway Park for the 3 o'clock afternoon start. That's nobody. That's a small crowd. Most fans, including 3 visiting French army officers on leave from World War that the United States had reluctantly entered in April, were scattered in the infield box seats, under cover of the overhanging roof. The rest of the spectators took their spots in right field bleachers. That was where the usual contingent of sporting men gathered daily to place wagers, large and small, on the games. Man, it must have been a hell of a time. Just passing money back and forth.
They still do this in like London and other countries. I mean, the London Olympics, you could just walk up to whatever event you were going to and you could place money before you walked in. It's kind of funny the scope it's viewed through in America compared to some other countries.
Uh-huh. Harry Frazee claimed that he had recently installed a special police force in that section to break up the gambling, but few arrests, if any, were ever made. Yes, Harry Frazee was just gambling. He was just gambling with them under the guise of stopping them. At any rate, only 5 or 6 police officers led by Sergeant Louis C. Lutz, Sergeant Lutz of the Boylston Street Station, were reportedly on duty at Fenway Park on June 16th. So we have a relatively small crowd of 9,000 and not a lot of police officers and a bunch of gamblers. And hopefully this comes up later, some French army officers, because I don't really understand why they got thrown in.
Yeah, otherwise that was an odd detail. That's a good call.
The atmosphere was tense from the start. Before the game began, White Sox manager Clarence Pants Rowland filed an official protest with umpires Tommy Connolly and Barry McCormick because the Red Sox lineup card turned in by manager Jack Barry included the names of 2 pitchers, Sam Jones and Weldon Wyckoff, who were listed as...
Why do you think he was called Pants, man?
He wore pants as a sweater. You know that kid who went as Pants for Halloween?
Yeah.
That's what this manager was doing.
Okay.
Nonstop.
I mean, we think it's got to be like he had the highest pants? I don't know. How do you get the nickname Pants when everyone's wearing pants?
Maybe he shits his pants?
Then his name would be Shits.
Don't be crass.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out. There's no real images of him. He was president of the Pacific Coast League.
Just wore giant pants, you think?
Yeah, maybe he wore like, they're like LL Cool J pants. I don't know. There's not a lot of, I'm trying to Google it and find out why his nickname was Pants. Okay. He started in baseball at age 9, where he earned his nickname Pants from base running antics while wearing his father's overalls at games in Dubuque, Iowa. So, kind of what I was saying.
That's as good as it gets.
I was all over that one.
Running
so anyway,
the bases and overalls, yes.
The Red Sox turned in their lineup card with 2 pitchers on it who were issued as reserves, and they were not even in a uniform. So the opposing manager was like, I protest. I don't know what they're up to, but this shit's shady.
You guys are clearly no foul.
2 fouls. In the second inning, after Babe Ruth issued the first of his 5 walks, Connolly ejected hot-headed Red Sox pitcher Carl Mays for arguing from the bench. By then, Chicago had already taken a 1-0 lead on an RBI double by shoeless Joe Jackson in the first inning. As a steady drizzle came down from the sky, the crowd began to get restless. More trouble began brewing in the 4th inning, this time off the field. After Ruth got 2 quick outs, Happy Felch walked, advanced on a pass ball, and scored on a Chick Grandel single for the White Sox second run. Heavier rain began to fall, and a few fans from the outfield bleachers ran across the field to the covered pavilion, stopping play for several minutes. Katie listens to some BuzzFeed horror podcast that I just constantly hear, and that's how they narrate like every single episode. Cries of "call the game" began to be heard as the White Sox were retired in the top of the half inning. Should I start doing it like that?
It's good. You had it.
So now we've got some rain. We've got fans running across the outfield to get to the part where they can be under the overhang. And people started just saying, call the game.
This isn't fun.
I mean, why can't like the umpire just be like, just go home?
Yeah. We're doing our thing. You do your thing.
We're just going to play. You can go home if you want. No one's like forcing you to sit in the rain.
They paid money for that ticket, Jim.
Yeah, that's true. In the 5th, Ruth again recorded 2 quick outs. I keep falling into that. As Ray Schalk flew out to center field and Seacott grounded out to the shortstop. Then, as leadoff hitter John Chanot Collins stepped to the plate for the White Sox, all hell broke loose. A crowd of about 300 fans from the right field bleachers, led by some tall man in a long raincoat, suddenly began leaping over the fence and marching onto the playing dirt. Barry McCormick, a former Chicago Cubs infielder in his first season as a major league umpire, illegal, immediately called time and stood gazing in amazement to see what the crowd would do. But they didn't rush at the players nor the umpires, the Chicago Tribune reported. Instead of fighting, the mob simply surged out onto the field, clear up into the diamond, and stood around. What? It's like a silent protest in the middle of the game. This is some creepy horror movie shit. Like they're possessed. They're just like,
I was gonna say there was a good horror movie vibe there. If they just weren't reacting to anything, it's like okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like when the ghosts come out in Field of Dreams, but you're like, wait, what are you guys doing here?
Well, I knew what was going on there.
They were obviously stalling for time. If the rain continued, the field would soon be deemed unplayable and the game would have to be called off. In addition to cutting their losses from a betting angle, the fans displayed a keen sense of timing of their invasion. All spectators retained rain check privileges if the game was called before 4.5 innings were complete, which was the American League rule at the time. There was still time. There's still 1 out remaining before the game was official. Oh, hell yeah. So if you gambled on this game and you were on the wrong side, you needed it to just get ended so it was an official game. If you were a paying ticket holder and you wanted a refund so you can see another game, you needed this game to end before 1 more out was recorded. So 300 people, led by a tall man in a raincoat, all realized this, and let's fuck this up. Oh, I'm all for this one.
Yeah, this is power of the people. If you've got a cause you believe in, I mean, you rally two groups here. You get the gamblers, you get the people that enjoy baseball, you get the people in the middle of the Venn diagram that are both, and yeah, this is perfect storm, literally.
How come this doesn't happen more often? Arrests and shit?
Cops, yeah, I think that's the next part of this.
Yeah, umpire Tommy Connolly looked around for police officers to help herd the mob off the field. He saw none. 5 officers were somewhere in the stands, but they could not be found. Yeah, they were like, fuck that.
Yeah.
The Globe reported, those who were on duty were not on the playing field as they have been in former years, and unquestionably, the psychological effect of the presence of the men in blue would have deterred the invaders from scaling the fence. Connolly and Red Sox manager Jack Barry, taking charge, approached the leaders of the mob and persuaded them to leave the field so the game would not have to be forfeited to Chicago. The fans did not retreat to their old seats in the bleachers, but climbed into the grandstand boxes instead, just when play was about to resume. New leaders and recruits came from the gamblers' stand. Then the first crowd piled out of the boxes again. This time, the mob was righteous. So they got him off the field, but they went to like the box seats right behind home plate or the dugout or whatever. And
the mob was riotous.
Riotous.
Riotous, yes.
I don't know that word. Riotous.
Ready to riot.
So Jake, they got him off the field, and then they went to the box seats, and then the gamblers got in their ears?
So I think what happened here is a classic case of people taking it too far. The first crew had it. Like, okay, let's suspend the game. Let's, as we said, for the gambling fans, for the baseball fans, you get a free bet and you get a free ticket to another game. And then it seems like another group that was watching these 300 people on the field, which is like, hey, what the hell were you guys doing? You saw 300 people going on the field and you did nothing? You just thought this was par for the course? They got rowdy in the stands because there was someone like me that was saying, like, what the hell are you guys doing? Either leave or get on the field. Like, make a choice for once in your life. So they got all rowdy and they're like, oh, we're not going to leave. You think those guys were tough? They talked themselves into a riot and they stormed the field.
Yeah. Well, the way this reads, which is somewhat what you have it, is that the first 300 were just fans, not gamblers, and they just wanted the game to end so they could get a new ticket. When they climbed into the box seats right by that gambler's pit, it seems the gamblers realized, oh, we can use them to our advantage, because then it says new leaders and recruits came from the gambler's stand. So then the gamblers were like, oh, let's use these sheep. Let's use them for our benefit. They went over there, probably got them liquored up, got them all torqued up. Like, go do it again, but this time, fucking mean it. So now the mob's ready to riot. They got the gamblers on their sides. You get a big-time gambler backing you, you feel invincible.
I mean, they had the numbers game here big time. We've got 5 cops and 2 teams. That's what? We got 55 people versus 300.
The cops are just walking away.
Yeah, they're still not involved. I think they come in a minute, but yeah.
McCormick immediately ordered the Red Sox off the field, and both teams attempted to exit under the stands through the Boston dugout. A melee ensued. The mob converged on the players, and the 5 late arriving police officers were helpless to assist. Why would you even arrive? Why are they going after the players? It seems fucked.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's kind of the mob mentality that the people that didn't get out there first created for themselves. They're like, oh yeah, we got to do something crazy.
Yeah, damn. Don't go after the players. The White Sox were forced to fight their way off the field. Buck Weaver, a fiery infielder and former team captain with a perpetual smile no matter how tight a spot he was in, was never one to back down from a brawl. Weaver grabbed a baseball bat and started swinging in all directions. Reserve infielder Fred McMullen used a more traditional weapon, his fists, to get away from the violent scrum. Both teams escaped safely to the clubhouse and milled around under the stands for more than 35 minutes before the Boston police sent officers on horseback to Fenway Park to restore order. This is like that movie, that Hot Rod movie with, was it called Hot Rod?
Well, it depends what movie you're talking about. There
With
is a hot rod movie.
Danny McBride and Lonely
Andy
Island
Samberg.
crew. Yeah.
Yeah,
Have you ever seen that movie?
I have.
I didn't like it. I thought it was too gimmicky. But there was one gimmick or one thing that I liked is when they're doing their slow-mo cool walk through town, going to like the big jump, the big match. And like people are like celebrating with them and like high-fiving them. And then it just turns into a fucking riot. And they like get them out of the slow-mo and they're all like on the outskirts. And they're like, what the fuck was that?
What just happened? Yeah.
What just happened? That's what I think both teams, all the players like underneath the tunnel, that's what they're like, what the fuck was that?
We're playing baseball. We weren't playing baseball. It was raining. Then there was a riot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. So in the sporting news, George S. Robbins wrote, the result is one of the most disgraceful scenes ever witnessed in a major league ball. Can you read this in a nice, like, old-timey cop voice?
Yeah, let me find there. Georges Robbins.
Yeah.
The result is one of the most disgraceful scenes ever witnessed in a Major League Baseball park. A riot of fans incensed at what are believed to be unfair decisions by umpires is one thing. But when a horde of gamblers permitted to run and riot in a Major League ballpark, I mean, it is Boston, right? Seek to stop a ball game and urge hoodlums to attack visiting players to save their dirty coin, that is still another thing. All the rowdyism that could be crowded into a season cannot do the game half as much damage as that one incident that occurred in Boston last Saturday. That's good. That's good writing.
That's good writing. Yeah, I love that line. A riot of fans increased at what are believed to be unfair decisions by umpires is one thing, but when a horde of gamblers permitted to run riot in Major League Ballpark to seek a ball game, that's not the line I like. Where's the line I like? Oh, this one. And attack visiting players to save their dirty coin?
Dirty coin's good.
I got a lot of dirty coins. I don't clean them.
Nobody does. If you do, you're the weirdo.
Yeah. So thank God it's not us.
Whew.
Dodge that one. Now that the rain had stopped, the field at Fenway Park was in decent shape after everyone finally cleared off the playing surface, despite the gamblers' efforts, or maybe because of them. Umpires McCormick and Connolly ordered the game to go on. Oh, it's definitely in spite. The game shall go on.
Full spite.
The umps wanted to go home, but now they have to stick it to the fucking gamblers and the mob.
Tough for the umps, man. It's raining.
Yeah. It's brutal.
You're supposed to be policing this? You don't really know why people are fighting each other? And now they're saying the players are telling you we're playing ball? Like, that's supposed to be your decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, they tried to say, let's go on, but they encountered resistance from a surprising source, Harry Frazee, the Red Sox owner, who stood to make about $7,000 in gate receipts if his team got one more out and the game became official. Inexplicably refused to permit his groundkeepers to remove the canvas tarpaulin, the tarp, that had covered the field while the rain was falling. McCormick pulled out his watch and gave Fraze an ultimatum. Remove the tarp or forfeit the game. Fraze finally relented. Why wouldn't he want it to go on?
Fraze is the owner, right?
Yes, but he stands to make...
He wants it to go on.
No, it's the opposite. The owner does not want the game to go on. The umpires are forcing him. That's why it's confusing. Because he stood to make $7,000 in gate receipts if his team got one more out and the game became official and he didn't have to give refunds. But he inexplicably refused to permit the groundskeepers to take the tarp.
No, he's saying remove the tarp or forfeit so that the game would be decided. He's saying either let's play or the other team forfeits.
That's what the umps are saying.
I think that's what Frazee is saying, the owner, because that makes sense.
Okay, so umpires McCormick and Connolly ordered the game to go on, but they encountered resistance from Harry Frazee, the Red Sox owner, who stood to make a lot of money, but he inexplicably told them the tarp is not coming off. The umpires said either the tarp comes off and we play or you forfeit the game.
I mean, did he have money on the game?
That's what I think they're leading to, that he had to have big-time money on the game because he stood to make.
He also just saw, what, 500 people brawl on his fucking baseball field?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Maybe it was that. So the umpires were like, no, we have to keep playing. So he was like, fucking fine. He's going to make $7,000 just from gate tickets once the game becomes official. McCormick pulled out his watch and gave the ultimatum. The infield dirt was still somewhat muddy, so sawdust was spread to make the field playable again. Sawdust is what they used? I would have been sneezing my butt off. All told, the delay lasted 45 minutes before the game resumed. Collins then took his long-awaited turn at bat with 2 outs in the 5th inning against Ruth. He flied out to center. The White Sox put the game out of reach in the 9th, scoring 4 more runs to set their final winning margin at 7-2. In December 1918, Johnson's investigation culminated in the arrest and conviction of 33 gamblers known to be operating in Boston, including at Fenway Park. Damn.
That was a good time for the cops.
That scene with 300 fans just slowly walking from the outfield into the infield, not talking or saying why, and just standing there is pretty, haunting.
Yeah. No, that's the only way to look at it.
If I'm an infielder, I'm out of there. I'm like,
oh yeah, I'm gone.
Spooked city.
Pretty wild. 33 gamblers arrested December 1918. Who? And then I was gonna say maybe Frazee, he just wanted the Red Sox to win too because they were already losing, right? But I think he's also the guy that ends up selling Babe Ruth to write a play, so it's tough to connect those dots.
Well, his team was losing.
I'm gonna go with he just saw a riot on his baseball field.
Yeah, and he was a bit spooked. Like, let's just get out of here. We don't need this to happen again.
Let's not relive that ever.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think
where are my 5 cops?
Those 5 cops shedded their uniforms so fast.
They were part of the riot.
Yeah.
Can't beat them, join them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's crazy. The Shoeless Joe Jackson is the other big gambling story. There's a podcast out there called Infamous America that I love, and he has 7 episodes. So I'm happy to share that with listeners. That he does a really good job telling that story. That one's wild. And it's too long to just do 1 episode on it. But I heard about the riot, and I was like, Luke, do that. We need to do that. That sounds crazy.
We're almost due for a baseball gambling scandal because, Shoeless Joe to Pete Rose. Now it's kind of time.
We're getting video camera scandals instead.
Ew.
All right, that ends this episode of Laughs from the Past. Thank you guys for listening on the podcast app. Thank you for watching on YouTube. We appreciate it. We'll be back next week with another story from baseball. I don't know what we're doing, but thanks to Lucas O'Brien. He wrote this episode and pieced it together for us. Thank you for the crew that's helping us out. Thank you to you guys for listening, and subscribe if you want, and check out our back catalog because we have a ton of episodes, and they're all pretty fun.
Check out our backs.
Check out our backs. See you later.